Hi guys, it's Mark, and today we're taking a look at Corsair's newest mousepad, the MM800 RGB Polaris. Now the first thing you'll notice once you plug in this mousepad, yes you heard me correctly, when you plug this mousepad into your computer, it features some seriously cool RGB lighting. But first up, more importantly, is how much does it cost? Well, price wise it's around 55 UK pounds, around 60 US dollars, and from what I can tell so far right now, because it isn't actually released yet, around 70 euros in Europe. Size wise, the mousepad has a more than large enough surface area for any gamer. 285mm in length, 272mm in width, and 5mm in height. But the MM800 features a low friction hard textured surface. The textured surface creates less friction due to there being less points of contact to the mouse's feet, creating a slippery surface. There are many pros and cons to using a hard mousepad compared to a soft mousepad, which are far more common. First up, laser sensors. Now they can struggle to track, believe it or not, on soft mouse pads, especially at low DPI. So I'd highly recommend anyone with a laser sensor to use a hard surface. Now hard surface mouse pads, whether it's smooth or textured, also generally provide slightly better tracking, as there will be less inconsistencies over the surface area. But that said, cloth pads are still preferred by most, as hard surfaces can just be a little too slippery and provide slightly less control. Cloth mouse pads give more control due to higher friction, not to mention they are far more friendly to your mouse's feet. But if you ever transition from a soft mouse pad to a hard one, the first thing you're probably going to need to do is lower your mouse sensitivity ever so slightly until you get used to the super low friction. Gaming with the MM800 myself was fantastic, but at my normal 3600 DPI it was uncontrollable at first due to my muscle memory kicking in and applying too much force. But over time I adjusted to it quite well, and now it's pretty hard for me to say what surface I prefer. The quality of the textured surface found on the MM800 feels extremely high. There's zero inconsistencies anywhere, and the join connecting it to the translucent plastic housing is nothing short of perfect, exactly what you expect to find on something at this price point. Looking underneath the mousepad, it has a super grippy rubber base. It keeps the mousepad from slipping on any surface, but one thing I noticed is that it can be quite easily pulled apart from the translucent plastic housing the RGB lights, although this shouldn't ever be an issue for any buyer, but I just like to note these things in my reviews. But taking a look at the back of the mousepad, unfortunately you're going to have to add an extra cable to your setup if you want to buy the MM800, and this is used to power the RGB lighting. Thankfully Corsair have cleverly integrated a USB pass-through into the back of the mousepad, so you can plug your mouse straight into that. Now I actually have the MM800 plugged into my K70 Rapid Fires USB pass-through, and then the mouse plugs straight into the MM800, which really helps clean up all the cables, especially if you're using a wireless mouse. So that about wraps it up for the main features of the MM800. Now let's take a look at the software and how, more importantly, to customize those RGB lights. Now Corsair's utility engine has just had a massive overhaul, and generally they've made it much easier to navigate and use. The level of lighting effects on offer you can choose and customize puts a lot of mice and keyboards to shame. You can choose a number of different preset lighting effects such as spiral rainbow, and it's great to see you can also tweak that effect by slowing it down and changing its direction. Other preset lighting effects include visor, color shift, wave, and a single static colour. And lastly, Lighting Link allows you to sync all your current effects to all your other Corsair devices. If we open up the Advanced tab, it gives you a host of different options for customizing the MM800. There's a total of 15 lighting zones around the mousepad. Each one can be assigned an individual colour and effect, such as gradient, ripple, solid and wave. You can use the lower box to control the opacity as well as cycle time. For instance, as an example, I currently have a ripple effect assigned to the very bottom corner of the mousepad with a single flash of red cycling over a 1 second interval. But at the top of the mousepad I have a gradient effect with the colour blue running again on a 1 second interval. So you can assign different colours and effects to each area. Now the MM800's lighting effects couldn't possibly be any more customizable, and you can even adjust the brightness in each lighting zone. Now I certainly wouldn't recommend the effects that you're seeing here right now unless you want to go into a coma, but this is just an example of the level of customization. So that's my walkthrough of the Q software with the MM800. Overall it's a bit of a learning curve, but with this level of customization they have still managed to keep it extremely well laid out. It's a real improvement compared to the older Q layout. So rounding off as a bit of a summary, the Corsair MM800 is right up there with some of the best hard mouse pads, but make no mistake about it, the RGB lighting adds a pretty hefty premium to the final price. But overall the score for the Corsair MM800 is an 8 out of 10. But I hope you've enjoyed the review, guys. I've got some awesome products coming up real soon on the channel, so stay tuned for that. I've been Marcus from Totally Silenced Tech. Goodbye.